computer. Okay, yay. So this is just a conversation with us. So just be, I'll edit out. I can edit out any parts you like hate or you're like, I didn't mean to say that. Just, okay?
Okay.
2 seconds. Look at Mo. Like chilling in the corner.
Oh.
Little baby. Okay. So I wanted to interview you. We've only met like, 6 times? I think we've had 6 meetings-ish. But you have grown so much, so fast, and you like catch on to things really quickly, and you're just really powerful. And I know that you came with a lot of needs and frustrated with a lot of different things. So I just want to kind of hear about where were you at when you reached out to me and wanted to meet with me? Like what was going on in your life that made you want to meet with me?
So what was going on was I was in my relationship with Blake. And this was the first relationship I've ever had where my heart started to feel safe really diving into being open and vulnerable. And as we started going deeper into our relationship, I started wanting like deeper connection with him and more intimacy with him. And I started asking God like, hey, like, what does that look like? And just like seeing your Instagram and seeing the journey that you were on with Spence and your first year of marriage, I started getting super inspired and my heart started wanting again. And so as I was like going on that journey with him, one day I was driving and I was like, God, like I really want to dive into this like with my whole heart. Like, Lord, teach me how to love like well and love selflessly. And then God was like, honey, like this is so awesome that you're trying to learn how to love another being like really well, but you haven't done that with yourself. And so I think like as I started giving my heart space to dive into my connection with Blake deeper, I started wanting again and I started craving like connection with myself. And I was like, hey, I haven't learned to love myself well. Like I haven't learned to love myself selflessly. So like how can I do that in my relationship? Like if I haven't gone on this journey with myself and then I really wanted it. And for the first time in my life, like I invited myself into a place of like selfishness and like wanting to dive into all of these things for myself, which is so not my normal. Like my normal is just serving people first. And so I was like, okay, like this is different for me. But the more I started meeting with you and learning from you and going on the retreat, my heart just like started grabbing onto what it was getting and was just running with it and was like, okay, like I love this, I'm in this, and like I don't want to stop.
So good. It's true too. Like we can only love to the capacity that we've been. And people think that like people will interpret that of like, well, I need to be loved by people. Then my heart will feel safer. Like I think that with Spence, if he loves me in this way, and this way, then I'll feel safer to express love.
Yeah.
It's true, like what you said, it's only to the capacity that we love ourselves and have those needs met and get that love from God too, that we can.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And you've embodied that too. Like I remember our first phone call, which we went to high school together, so it's not our first call. But I remember you saying like, I don't trust anybody like with this. I don't trust anybody to lead me, and I don't trust like it's hard to trust and feel safe investing in myself in this process because you were connected to God, you know, and you do have a good head on your shoulders, and you have gone through a lot of process on your own with him, but you took a big leap, honestly, in choosing to trust me and dive into this.
Yeah.
And I can see like the fruit of that in your life already, just with the way that you hold yourself and carry yourself. And I see your confidence levels like slowly like going to the next level. Each time I talk to you, there's like a little bit more security, a little bit more boldness.
Yeah, it's really good. I think like my heart just needed to get a space of like feeling safe.
Yeah.
Like feeling safe, like letting that like love and vulnerability and just like feeling safe sitting in my pain and knowing it's not going to crush me, you know? And so like I think I started to feel safe with Blake, and then I was like, hey, like I want to give this to myself. Like, I want this with myself. And like diving into this whole process, I've become like so much more intimate with the Father because like I'm no longer having to put things or people in my God spot. Like, I process through a moment and I'm like, okay, heart, like, what are you feeling? Like, what do you need right now? And then, like, I bring, like, God right into the process and just, like, have him speak, like, words over me and, like, have him meet my needs there. So that, like, I'm being able to give my heart what it needs and God's meeting me there rather than, like, you know, going and doing this thing or going to this person. And it's made me feel, like, a lot more powerful.
Cool.
And that's what I wanted, you know. I just wanted to feel like powerful and to be able to meet my needs because I was tired of putting people and things in my God spot because I know it wasn't filling me, like it wasn't giving me freedom.
It always leads to disappointment.
Yeah.
And your relationship with God, how has your relationship with God changed since meeting with me? Because I know you had some just crazy experiences, even like right after our first call.
Mhm. Um, I I would always like enter into the secret place with God, but I felt like that only happened very genuinely when I was in like deep pain and agony and I would like be brought to my knees and like God, like I need you here in this spot. Or like I would have to find like this place of like being silent with him and then I would like be able to meet with the Father, but I was never able to like visually encounter him and enter into the space that I have been able to since meeting with you. So first like learning how to connect with my heart and getting self-aware and then like welcoming God into that place of like learning like what his voice sounds like and learning like what his heart is and like learning his character. Like I've never felt like such a strong connection with God as like my father and my dad and like my caretaker as like I do since I started meeting with you. Um I never saw like how great his character of love has been like so intimately since meeting with you because like I've had the capacity to welcome him into my places of pain, you know, right in the moment.
Yeah, it's true. Like we shut down our hearts because of pain. We don't want to get hurt. And what
Mhm.
happens is that disconnects us from ourself, which
Mhm.
disconnects us from God. So it's
Yeah.
true, like as you've confronted different pain points, like it's let those walls come down and it's invited him into it.
Yeah.
Well, I remember you. I think you were in your car and texting me right after one of our sessions, and you're like, "I'm bawling my eyes out right now. Like I've never heard God speak this clearly to me.
Yeah.
Like it's so clear and so easy to experience Him and encounter Him. And I know that you've been seeking Him for a really long time, and you have
Mhm.
been so steadfast. I've watched you even just on Instagram, like posting Bible verses like daily and weekly. Like you've sought Him. So it's
Yeah.
cool when it goes from like theology and concept and what we know to
Mhm.
actual tangible experiences, because
Yeah.
we know about a person that affects us, right?
Yeah.
It's our experience of someone and feeling seen, known, and loved, and getting to experience who they are as a person. I love that. So cool.
Yeah.
Um, so what are the biggest outcomes that you've experienced in your life since meeting with me? Like whether that's in relationship or job or purpose or whatever.
Um, Definitely in confidence and feeling more powerful, and feeling less out of control when I'm processing in a painful moment. Before, I used to be really scared of my pain. Anytime like something would happen in my life where I would get triggered in a moment, I would feel it and I'd get so scared of it that I would just like numb myself and go and do whatever I needed to do, whether it was healthy or whether it was not healthy. And so like I've learned like by inviting God into those spaces that like my pain isn't so scary. And then even when it is, like I know he's right there with me and I know he has something for me on the other side of it. Like I know he doesn't want me to just like sit in my pain or even if he does, like he has something for me on the other side of it. He has something for me like through it, rather than like having me just place it in a corner and then like have all of these toxic cycles start like throughout my life. And so I think I've learned like in a moment how to like ask my heart like what's going on and become like self-aware and be like, hey, like I got triggered because of this, and like that's okay, and like this is from like this painful moment and like this traumatic moment in my life, but like heart, like what do you need right now? And then just like inviting God there.
So good. And what has that done for you? Like, how does that make you feel?
It makes me feel powerful because I don't have to rely on another person to meet my needs.
Yeah.
Like I can go right to the Father and like have him meet my needs there. And so like it's helped me so much, because I think before I'm like, oh, like I need people in my life, or like I need a man in my life to like make me feel loved and seen and known. But like through this whole process with you and learning to talk to my heart and see like, okay, like I really need this, because like I'm in pain and I don't need that, and I don't want that. Like I just want like to feel seen, known, and loved, and like welcoming God in that place has given me that like in such a huge capacity to where like I don't want to run to those things anymore. And if I do, I'm like, oh, like this doesn't fulfill me. Like this doesn't do it for me anymore. This doesn't make my heart come alive or feel safe or feel like taken care of.
Even love from like our significant other doesn't do it.
Yeah.
We have all these hopes and all these expectations, and we think, I mean, there's even times that I still think that Spence will be able to fill that or to meet that need. And I only realize that whenever I'm faced with disappointment and I'm like, oh, I was expecting him to meet that need.
Yeah.
What happens is it allows that person to be like an added gift.
Yeah.
Which everyone, like I know one of my biggest things is if I feel like such a gift to somebody, like they're so grateful for who I am and my friendship or my relationship, then I show up, I come alive, I want to give more. But if I feel any disappointment, I'm like shut down, and I'm like, I feel like no matter what I do, it's not going to be enough.
Yeah.
It's crazy, like how when we learn how to get our needs met by God, like that person can actually just be that added blessing, and it actually makes your relationship thrive.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so you already kind of answered my next one, which is really good. Do you feel, I don't know if I'm going to add this one into it, but do you feel like you're set up to like have you're in a committed relationship? So let's say, do you feel like you're set up to do marriage at this point? We've only met a handful of times. We've only had 5 or 6 hours of intentional me pouring into you. So clear assessment just with the little tiny amount of time we've had. Do you feel like I'm confident to like move towards that kind of a lifetime commitment with someone based on the tools that I have?
Totally. And I think I realized so many things about marriage and what I want in marriage, and things I don't have to be fearful of in marriage just through meeting with you. Like just understanding how to love somebody well in a moment, love myself well in a moment, and how to like selflessly navigate connection and relationship. And like you said, like just being able to with your partner receive love from them in the way that they communicate love to you, so that like you're able to open up your heart to, wow, like this person is a gift in my life. Rather than, I think for me the hardest thing was holding expectation, like holding expectation over connection, relationships. And so if I felt like I wasn't being loved well because of my definition of love and all my other needs that probably weren't met, I wasn't able to see the person in front of me as a gift. And instead I was like, hey, like you're not doing this for me, or like I want to change this about you because I don't feel loved and I don't feel taken care of. To where like just navigating through this has helped me understand like, okay, I don't have to be fearful of entering into a marriage and like not getting all my needs met, or like feeling crushed if marriage doesn't work out the way that I envision it to. So just like, I think a lot of my fears have been crushed through like meeting with you.
Crazy.
about marriage and what that looks like.
Okay, last question, I think. How has your relationship changed in the last however many months?
Ooh. We've gotten so good at communicating with each other in painful moments. My reaction to pain is instantly to shut down. And I'm like, okay, this person is hurting me. Like, I'm going to shut down and I need to meet my own needs right now. And so, oh, a lot of my initial reaction to pain has been like, okay, me and Blake will get in an argument and I'll have to leave. Like, I'll have to go because I feel hurt by him and I feel like he's not safe to me anymore. And I'll just leave and then I'll go and like take care of my needs in whatever space I feel like I need to. But with like learning how to become self-aware and learning like, hey, I got triggered by something that he did and it had nothing to do with him. It had to do with like me and my pain spot. And so like just communicating to him like, hey, like this happened and this is the way that I feel. And through him experiencing the way that I'm handling pain, he's learned like in a moment of me initially shutting down or me being hurt, being like, hey, honey, like, how are you feeling? Like, I'm so sorry that I did that. Or him recognizing things like, hey, I did that. And actually, like, I didn't want to hurt you in this moment. I just, like, did this because, like, I'm used to doing X, Y, and Z. Or I felt this way. Yeah.
He doesn't have any leadership, no counseling, no anything. Literally started with you.
Yeah. Yeah. And so like just being able to get like super honest and like vulnerable with each other and just being like, this is where I'm at and this is the pain that I'm feeling right now. And just like meeting each other in that space rather than like running away from our pain and labeling each other as like, you know, painful and I don't want to go there with this person right now. I need to run from them. You know?
It does the opposite of what your heart's wanting. Yeah. Like you said in the beginning, is more connection and more intimacy, but like we run from that. Right? It's scary. It's scary being known and loved in our deepest places too, because it's like, well, what happens when that's taken away? But I know that it's been cool too, just watching the way that you've pursued vulnerability and like you set your vision to, I want more connection with him, but I'm recognizing I need that with myself and with God first.
Yeah.
And like you have fulfilled and followed through with what you set your heart to. You know, and you have opened up and been vulnerable and you've leaned into connection. You've been honest in different moments. Like you fought to show up when you wanted to run away and you've stayed committed.
Yeah.
Like you've let me into all of these different moments when things were happening and like you've sought help and you've sought leadership. So it's amazing. I'm proud of you. I really am. Like when I thought of who I wanted to interview, I was like, Sarah. I want to interview Sarah. Like I personally, this isn't even for the recording, I don't think, but as we're trying to figure out the kind of women I want to target, because you have to do like really specific stuff when you're paying for ads. It's hard because we have to change like our wording like very specifically in our ads. So like before we were saying, are you stuck in toxic cycles and self-hatred, and we're attracting these women that are like super, super depressed and suicidal. And I'm like, okay, do you want to become a powerful woman and you know that you're called to great things, but you know, so I'm like, I have to like twist my language because I want to attract women like you who like have a relationship with God, like you've been on a journey, you really want to be healthy, and I'm not just introducing you to health, but you like already have this desire and this level of commitment and character already, because then I can just help you flourish. Then I can answer the questions that you have and not have to go to the rock bottom place, which I'm like, I can do that. I've done that with a lot of women, but I want to help women like go from like, I'm connected to God, I'm just missing all of these things. I'm thriving, you know, like I feel powerful. And so you're such an example of that. So I'm glad that
I think the biggest thing too, like me stepping into this process and even coming to you and throughout this process is just learning like I'm ready to receive and like learning how to receive. I think it was just so scary for me, like to be open and to be vulnerable, and getting criticism and getting feedback was really scary for me, like whether it was good or bad. Like I remember I told you about that dream that I had. I'm like walking into this gym, and then my deepest fear, like 3 women just standing over me, like giving me criticism and like beating me down. And so like when I came to you, like I was in a space of like okay, like I know what I need right now, and I know what I want, and I'm open to receiving, because like I know like what I can get out of it, and I know that it's going to be good.
You had to face your fear hard.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
then what has your experience of me been? Because I know that some of those fears have been there for a long time, and you've had a track record of hard and painful female relationships. So
Mm-hmm.
with that and expecting criticism, what's your experience of me been like?
So my initial experience of you would have been like so much comparison, and being really scared to just like meet with you and get feedback from you, because of like my journey with self-hatred and comparison and like shaming myself in different areas of my life. So like having a relationship with women that I felt like were above me, or like were beautiful than me, or like had a nicer body than me, or were like at a different level in their relationships, was terrifying for me. And so when I first stepped into it, I was super terrified, and like didn't know like, okay, will my heart even be able to receive from her? Because like, I feel like she's above me in all of these different things, and then just like up opening my heart to like receiving all of these things, I realized like all of my deepest fears are rooted in like what God has for me on the other side of it.
Mm,
Me being scared of like where you're at and all of the knowledge that you have in terms of connection and relationships are because I want that very thing. And so my experience of you was really easy with getting connected to you, because you were so warm and welcome and just able to like love me in my place of vulnerability. That was really scary for me. But now like it's not even hard for me to just be like, yeah, this is me, this is my story, because like I don't really care, and I know what I get on the other side of like being this open and being this vulnerable.
love that.
So getting to experience you and learning like, hey, like there's this level of love that I can be opened up to, and that like I won't be judged for it.
I love that.
And
It's
it's safe. It's safe.
I I have I mean there's been a lot of women that have felt like that.
Mm.
And it's like I have a close friend who every time it's literally every time that I'm around her, she's like I love her vulnerability in this. To me, it's like just incredible, and I get it 'cause I've been there. But she's like, every time I'm around you, I have to decide like, am I going to compare myself to you and think that God must not have that for me, and that it's just you. You're the only one that gets this kind of relationship and this kind of opportunity, and blah 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 blah. And I'm just like, no, just the fact that you see that and you're around me is God trying to invite you into the same thing. Like if you have a desire, that means that God put it there because he wants to fill it. So if
Yeah.
he needs me to be a magnet to open your eyes to be like, hey, raise your standard here. Like, hey, I have this for you. I have this for you. Like he's only raising the bar and raising your expectations so that he can exceed it. So that's good. I love that so much. And I love you. And like, I know that God is going to bless all of these different areas in your life because of your consistency and because of your hunger and your humility and just the way you've sought him. I love that, and I love you, and thank you for giving me your time today.
Of
Thank
course.
you so much. I love you.
I love you.
And then Thursday, are we still gonna have date night Thursday?
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, did you want to do like drinks or dinner or?
We'll need to do dinner. So basically what's happening is we were going to do another webinar on Friday, but we had to move it to Thursday. But
Okay.
6, no, 5:30, and we should be done by like 7 for sure. But that
Okay.
means we won't be able to like meet until like if we did like Costa Mesa or even like what's that place called? The Lab.
Mm-hmm.
If we went somewhere in there, we could be there in like 15 minutes.
Okay.
If we wanted to meet there, we could probably do like 7:15 ish.
Okay.
You guys.
Yeah, that would work for us.
And we could do dinner or drinks up to you. We'll for sure need to eat.
Okay.
Yeah, but we can also play it by ear.
Okay.
Does that sound good?
Sounds good.
Yay. Well, I love you.
I love you.
Giving me your time.
Of course.
And I'll see you in 2 days.
Yeah. Wait, no, tomorrow.
Tonight.
Wait, tonight. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Me and the girls might get together and watch it all. Watch it like live with each other and like have some wine.
That's exciting.
Yeah, I thought of the idea yesterday and I was like, oh, this would be so fun. And then I just texted them and they're like, yeah, let's do it. So it works out.
Like your laptop.
Huh?
Are you each gonna do it on your own laptop?
Yeah, I think so because we'll be seeing each other face to face, right? Okay, so yeah, then we'll all be on our laptops, but we'll like be with each other and like
Fun.
yeah.
It'll be you, Brittany, and Nicole.
Yeah, hopefully.
That's great. I'm excited. Yay. Can't wait. Well, I love you.
I love you.
You're amazing. Your answers are like just wonderful and like so thoughtful and so emotionally aware. I love it.
Oh, thanks.
You're welcome. I can't wait to see you later.
I'm excited.
Have a good day, okay?
Yeah.
Talk to you soon. Bye bye.
Bye.